Hello there, my listeners. I'm Christine Passo, and I'm the host of Unconscious Evolution. This particular episode is quite special. Samantha Sklenar is my guest, and we had so much to talk about that this is being divided into a part one and a part two. Part one is being released right now, and then next Wednesday, you will be able to listen to part two. Believe me, you are about to be sucked in, and mark your calendars to listen to part two next week. Here we go. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Christine Passo. I'm a support and transformation coach for Midlife Women, and I'm also the host of this amazing podcast, Unconscious Evolution. Today, I very warmly welcome a special guest, Samantha Sklenar. Samantha, it's all the S's. It's all the S's.
No,
Okay.
I
Just
know.
so our listeners can hear correctly.
Yeah.
Samantha Sklenar. Yes.
And if you have any kind of Czech heritage, you will know that that's even not the correct pronunciation. It's spelled differently. It's a Czech last name and it's spelled differently. And I will do my husband justice and I will pronounce it correctly. The correct pronunciation is Sklenar, but no American even can make that noise with their tongue unless they have like extensive training. So we say Sklenar.
Okay, Sklenar. All right. And you know what I love also is that all of my episodes include, unless you're listening on Apple or Spotify or you're listening to the audio, but of course I have the captions, so the correct spelling, which is most important, will be shown.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes. So, listeners, let me share with you about Samantha. Samantha Sklenar helps women heal to create the miracles of change they seek in their personal and professional lives. Her ambition is to transform the narrative around God's role in healing from being seen as woo-woo or impractical to being recognized as the most effective and practical way to create any desired change. I cannot wait to talk, and I cannot wait to reveal to my listeners how you and I nurtured our relationship a bit more, but that is to come. So listeners, don't sign off. Make sure you listen to the whole episode. Samantha's contact information and social media details are listed in the show notes. Please feel comfortable reaching out to her. Samantha, thank you again for opening your personal life to us. What would you like to share? And has anything new come up for you over the last few hours?
So, yeah, let me think about that. To be honest, I'm quite like I do my best to be in the present moment. And we were chatting a little bit before the episode, and you were saying that like things can come up for people, like maybe nervousness or I don't know, something. And I do my best to just be clear in my heart and my mind. And I watched your other episodes, so I knew that you would most likely ask this question. And I was like, like I don't at all want to plan what I'm going to say. So I'm going to take a moment.
Oh, I love that so much.
Just reflect on what has come up over the past few hours. Yeah, I feel I have a good one. I had a really massive, incredible miracle this morning. So that's what came up for me. And I would like to share part of that. What came to me is that when we are going through something in life that's challenging, like a situation, external situation, something with a person, something in our own life, let's say like in our job or with our health or emotionally or mentally, it's so easy to fall into the mindset or emotional landscape of, oh, something's wrong with me. And I had this in an area of my life, and I literally thought that something was wrong with me. It was like I was repeating a pattern, and I could not get out of the mindset that, oh, look at all those other people who have it figured out, and I'm over here suffering, or I'm over here, I haven't figured it out yet. And I'm going all over the place, but it will connect.
Oh, I'm not worried at all.
Back in the day, let's say like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, something in that type of time frame, I had other challenges in my life that I was dealing with internally. And I was able to step out of the mindset and the emotional landscape that something's wrong with me. And I understood that this is part of my story here. This is part of my transformation here. And if I stop seeing this as like, oh, poor me, I'm being punished because I'm a bad person and God wants me to suffer. And if I understand that this is God's gift to me and I can use it as fuel if I stop judging it as bad, which thank you, God, I did. And it created the most incredible, massive transformation up until that point in my life. Now, recently, I've been dealing with something else. And I was once again kind of cycling in this perspective of, oh, why me? Oh, I haven't been able to figure it out. Wow, blah, 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 blah. All of that's necessary. I'm not saying that like it's wrong to do that, but there's, I think, a point in time where I'll speak for myself. Like I have enough of that and I want to change. And I'm like willing to change and I'm willing to see it from a new perspective that I haven't seen it from yet. I'm willing to go to all the emotional areas that I previously did not want to go to, and this morning I was driving and I just had the realization that this too is not because I'm a bad person. It's not because I can't figure it out. It's part of my story. It's part of the fire of transformation. And it will either directly, like I will help people with the same situation, or indirectly, whatever transformation it's bringing to me is going to be so valuable going forward in my own life, in the lives of the people I love, and even in the lives of the people who I influence. So, yeah, I think I want to, that's what comes to me. That's what came up in the past few hours, is that whatever you're dealing with, I really believe no one at their core is a bad person. I do believe people get, they take detours, they go into really strange mental, emotional, physical landscapes that can cloud their judgment, can cloud who they really are, can do really hurtful things to themselves and to others. But I do believe at their core, everyone is inherently good. And I don't believe things happen to people because you're a bad person. There is cause and effect. You will, of course, if you initiate a cause, you're going to get that effect. But I really I want to bring forth that message that it's not because you're a bad person. It's just part of your story. And the most painful thing is literally just here to help you wake up to your power and to help you feel good. When you wake up to your power, you feel good. So that's what I would share.
So I have to tell you what you just said so many powerful things, and the energy that you are bringing to this episode right now is like, I feel it within my entire body. I really do. Now, I do think that you and I have a connection, so that does not surprise me that I have those feelings. But what I love that you talked about is that 10, 7, 8 years ago, whenever it might have been, that you were struggling, with whatever kind of identity crisis that you were having. I just said the word crisis, you did not. So let me just say that you did not. Um, but you were having some identity struggles, whatever it might have been. And I love that you said that whatever it was, that you worked through it, but then it happened again. Now, it could be a different struggle, or maybe it's the same
Different.
one, different.
Different. Mhm.
But what I love is that you brought up such a valid, important point, because I think so many people operate under the idea that, well, I struggled 10 years ago and now I'm really not going to struggle anymore unless something happens to me,
Mhm.
right? Unless something unexpected happens, because I've already dealt with being whatever it might be. Well, this is the forever journey. And because life evolves, because we evolve, because we're always introduced to something new, these struggles are going to happen. But that's the beauty in the struggles, is our ability, like you did, to say, all right, I need to accept this. And then I need to make that decision that I don't want to have these feelings anymore. What am I going to do? And this happens many, many times in our life. And I just wanted to really offer credit to you and to point out to our listeners that we never arrive. We never finish. It is always ongoing. And to have that mindset of continuous curiosity and the desire to keep growing, it's really, it makes the struggles easier.
Yeah. I love how that's what you got from what I was sharing, is bringing up two important things. I hope I remember both of them. First is that absolutely I help a lot of people who are interested in self-development and self-growth. And one thing, and especially when it comes to healing, people are like, oh, well, like I healed, so I'm not going to have to heal again. And I feel that this is connected to growth. Like for me, healing, I will just clarify, you move from one state to the next. You change states, okay? Whether you want to call it healing, whether you want to call it change, whether you want to call it transformation, it's all the same thing. You're moving from one state of experience, let's call that the problem, to another state, which is solution or your desired experience. That's what I consider healing. I just want to be clear. And so connected to what you're saying about growth, that this is the ongoing journey. Yes. And I have had so many people say, oh, well, I've done healing. Like now I'm done, or I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. Excuse me. You came into this life to grow. And like you use the word evolution, I think. Like we came here to evolve. And I think the other point that I want to tie into all this was the second point. So I do remember. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Good job. The other point is about peace. Like, I think there can be confusion around continuous growth. And that means that a person won't have peace or satisfaction or fulfillment. And though that is not the same thing. You can absolutely have peace. You can absolutely have fulfillment, and you can continue to evolve. So, I think that's just a really important thing that I want to highlight. And yeah, for me, like, I was just sharing with someone the other day, personally in my own life, like I am infatuated by being in my power and like embodying my power to the highest degree possible. And if you would have spoken to me like a year ago or 3 years ago, something like that, at each interval, I thought, oh, I'm in my power, And then I get surprised, and the universe is like, here's another opportunity to get even deeper into your power, a greater expression that's more enjoyable for you. And I feel like if we just view it as these layers of like greater enjoyment, like something more is available, and it's not like, if we can change our perspective that growth isn't here to hurt us, and it doesn't mean, again, coming back to something's wrong with us because we have to grow. It's like, oh, there's an even greater expansion and even more enjoyable experience of life available to me now that I have overcome all of these other things and I've gotten to this place, So that's
Okay.
what you shared brought up for me.
So I just love when you talk, but this episode's going to be just really impactful. In fact, I'm even thinking already that this is going to be something that I direct all of my clients to,
Mhm.
like introductory, like the modules that I plan on selling, like all these things, because we need to feel this power within. Like we need to understand that the growth is forever. That, I think again, and I talked about this already, that we think we've arrived, we're there, we're good, we're settled. No, we never want to be settled. So I just, want to honor you for what you're bringing to this episode today. But in that, how the heck did you, now I'm going to use the word become,
Mm.
but how did you become to be in this space for yourself, right? So we know what you do for your profession. We get it. But you had to find something in yourself and able, like, to get to where you feel confident to, like, tell us your story, because
Mm.
this is super important.
Hmm. I can feel it stirring around inside of me. So I'm just like, wow, okay. Excellent question. Amazing question. And you shared with me also that some people on your podcast say, like, wow, thank you for asking me that question. And now the time has come, Christine. I must say, thank you for asking me that question. Okay, so how did I come to this point? Yeah, I would say it's through embracing and getting in touch, like the overarching theme. Yeah, the umbrella, I can go into details, but the overarching umbrella is that I needed to go into the pain. I needed to go into all of the areas of myself that were limiting myself, doubting myself, sabotaging myself, all the things, get to know them, understand them, accept them, love them, and ultimately release them and choose something new. Now, it started for me I was living basically a different life. I was in New
Mm.
York and I was working in like the finance area. Um, and because of my boss, I had started meditating. And once I started meditating, like he had brought in a woman to teach us meditation. That's how I started meditating. And once I started meditating, I just started to, I think, wake up to all of the BS that I was creating in my life. And I first became aware that I was diagnosed with ADHD I was officially diagnosed in college, but like already somehow in high school, I remember telling my mom, I was like, I think I have ADHD. And she was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And then I got to college and then somehow I convinced her again. I was like, I think I really need to go to the doctor. I had gone and then the doctor, which now when I talk about it, I'm like, oh my God, they were just so like excited to prescribe Adderall or like whatever this ADHD medication is. It's like a massive business. But anyways, I didn't know.
which
And
is which is an episode on its own, by the way. But I
yeah,
will digress.
yeah. I will share my experience because I think it's really powerful. And to be honest with you, with that medication, like I was in a way addicted to it. Like I totally lost power. And that's kind of that's what I want to share. So I was diagnosed with ADHD, given this medication, and I was young. I was 18 or 19 or something. I think maybe 18, 19, something like that. And I didn't ask questions. Like I just trusted, same way like I took any other medication when I got sick at that point in my life. Like I just didn't know. And I just took it, and no one told me not to take it on the weekends. No one told me that you need to recover from this stuff. No one told me that it's apparently like one chemical chain different from cocaine. I had no idea. And I just took this stuff like religiously every single day because I believed this external thing is going to make me better. Okay. And that is like also a theme throughout my I would say my teenage years and my early adult years of believing the power is outside of me. So yeah, we're talking about the power, right? Like the pain, the overarching pain was understanding the power is now not outside of me, it's inside of me. So taking this Adderall and having ADHD was one way. So I started meditating and it just started coming up from inside of me. Like, I need to get off this medication. I need to get off this medication. I need to get off this medication. And I tried, but as I said, it's one chemical chain different from cocaine. And if you are anybody who has ever taken this medication, like I have so much freaking empathy and compassion for you because I know that it's so difficult. Like, yeah, just I tried many times with no success. I would get off of it for like a week and then I would relapse. And then I'd get off for a week and then I'd relapse. And then so there was like a year and a half of that, of me trying to get off of that. Also, with that, I had a lot of physical health problems. I had acne, adult acne. Okay. I wasn't a teenager anymore. I was at this point, when I started meditating, I was 22, 23, 22, 23, like that. So I had adult acne. And then I also didn't have my period for 2 years. And and connected to that, the Adderall was giving me like massive anxiety, massive depression, like just so many side effects. And I also, once upon a time before this, I was on birth control, which thanks to a friend, she told me, she's like, you should really get off birth control. Like, it's not good. And I was like, really? Like, I had no idea. So I got off that. But before this, when I started meditating, that also impacted me like horrifically. And but the first like awakening was that I need to get off the Adderall. And after like many times of not doing it, of relapsing, I was like, okay, something's wrong. Like I'm actually having like addictive behavior towards this thing. And during this time that I started meditating, I started to take psychic development classes. So I had connected with a friend during that time. And I had realized that like as a teenager, I had all these non-physical world experiences. And I was like 14 at the time. It was like from 14 to 18, let's say. I had many elders in my family pass. And I had several experiences, like many, several times a year, where they would come through to me and speak to me. I would literally hear them. And I never had any kind of education on this, okay? Like, I never watched a show where this happened and, like, I was imagining it, like, it actually happened, and yeah, just really wild stories. They involve other people, so I don't necessarily want to share them, but just really, like, transformative experiences that it's like, there's more than my eyes can see. But I haven't been taught that. Like, I went to traditional schooling. I wasn't exposed to like any kind of alternative stuff when I was a
Well,
child.
yeah, and I mean, you're in English class, you're in geography, like nobody's talking about this stuff. So, I mean, you're like in this inside your head all by yourself, along with all these other things that you're going through. It's like, wow, no wonder your physical body was responding.
Yeah. And then, so anyway, so I had connected with a friend that I had those experiences as like a teenager. And we were like, oh, let's take like development classes. Maybe it's about like intuition. Maybe I can develop this somehow. And it was like intuition, it was like extrasensory development or something. It was 6 months of a course, but it was within this school. It was called Theta Healing. I don't know if you've ever heard about it or if any of your listeners have ever heard about it, but the place where I went every Tuesday night, it was under like the Theta Healing, I don't know what you call it, office or whatever in New York, and they were just offering the psychic development course. So that was the first time I got exposed to healing. I had never heard about healing. I didn't know anything about it, but I was in this course and we had done like a few of the weeks, something about like changing our beliefs. And the teachers were explaining that, like, oh, if you change your beliefs, then you can change like what you're experiencing. And like many people, they shared many like case studies where the person had a physical ailment and they did this theta healing and then they didn't have the physical ailment anymore. So I was like, I was like, well, maybe then I can get off Adderall if I do this healing. So I remember I had gone for one healing, like to be healed by one of the healers there, but I just wasn't ready. And like, I wanted to be ready, but like my nervous system, my unconscious mind, my physical body, like just was like completely shutting down because if I was going to get off the Adderall, I needed to be confident. And I was severely lacking confidence, like whether in any area, like even coming to like do something on the computer, I was like, oh no, I can't possibly do this assignment if, or like whatever my boss assigned to me, if I'm not taking Adderall. Like that's just, now I'm like, oh my God, that girl, like I just want to hug you, but I wasn't ready. And then I made it my mission to get ready. And I noticed that, but like I wasn't so open at that time to like go through it with someone. Now I would in a heartbeat accept that help from somebody else, especially like someone I can trust like that. It was such like a great person. But at the time I didn't know any of that stuff. And then I decided that I'm going to make it my mission to heal this. I'm going to figure out how to heal it. I then like somehow through those 6 months, I learned about healing. And like, I just, something in me was like, I need to do healing. I need to help people heal. I need to heal their minds. I need to heal their bodies. I need to heal their emotions. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And I'm going to figure out everything inside of me that's blocking me from my initial desire was to feel the pure life force just running through me. Like, I wanted to feel ecstatic bliss just for being alive. That was my
Mhm.
goal, because the only way I had accessed that before was through drugs or alcohol. I didn't have the emotional like set points in my body, in my mind, in my heart to feel that good. Like I thought that I would die if I would feel that good because I had never even seen anyone feel that good. Like I thought feeling that good was a bad thing, like also in New York, like I don't know how it is now, but at that time I'm taking the subway every day. You have thousands of people around you just like this, like half dead because they're traveling 2 hours to and from work. You know what I mean? Just like crazy stuff of like not people necessarily connected to their greatest joy. And I really wanted to like figure that out for myself and fix that. So it started with the Adderall and the ADHD, which I later healed and realized I don't have ADHD. It's just, and I want to offer this to anyone with ADHD that I 100%, I'm standing behind it. It is 100% healable. It's not a plague that plagues you for the rest of your life. I can almost with certainty say you're just focusing on the wrong thing. You are focusing on something that you don't, excuse my language, give a shit about. When you focus on what you care about, you have endless energy to do it. And when you remove the internal blockages blocking you from allowing yourself to focus on what you care about, you also have that endless energy, because we all came here, I believe, with, a special gift, with a special interest that we are meant to pursue, that we're meant to incorporate into our life in some way, even if you don't do it as your profession. Like, you can have a profession, but then you have a hobby. Like, you need to include that thing in your life and allow it to exist. But when we shut things down because we were told as kids, no, you can't dance, no, you can't sing, no, you can't do art, it's not important, blah, blah, blah. That's the juice. That's like our creative life force that's just like dying to come out. And then,
Yes.
most kids, they're told, and adults then who go to some type of job, sit down at a desk for 8 hours. What? You want to tell like the massive creative force that created this universe to sit down, sit straight, and not move for 8 hours, and then you want to pretend like something's wrong with it? What?
Right.
You're just
You
like
know,
not allowing it to thrive.
I mean, I have got to jump in here because I spent 20, 25 years in sales, marketing, and advertising, right? So I was sitting in that chair. I was doing that stuff. I was going to the holiday parties, with people that, we really didn't talk during the day, right? Like all these things, all these must do's in my life. And I'm like, ugh. I mean, it was so weighing on me that it would take me like 3 or 4 days to even loosen up on a vacation, and then I come back, and I had maybe 3 days of actual downtime, and, like, we do not realize how important it is to fully be in touch with what it is that we want and what it is that we love, what it is that resonates with us. I mean, there is absolutely it's like there's this unwritten rule that everybody has to stay the path, and you ask your friends and they're all like, well, I'm doing it, so you might as well do it. It's like, nobody said life was going to be easy. Nobody said, life was going to be happy all the time. And so with that, we program it in our mind that we're not supposed to be in touch with what really matters to us. We're only supposed to be in touch with where we're supposed to, right, go, where we're supposed to be based on what our parents taught us or our spouses or our friends. And you bring up something that is it's just so incredibly important. And I want to segue here
Yeah.
really quick, Samantha, because so you and I met through LinkedIn. We
Yeah.
connected on LinkedIn and
Yes.
immediately set up a call. Like the energy was already flowing between us just in typing DMs, and we met and we talked on a day that I was really suffering from grief. I was, 6+ months in, 7, I think, having lost our Myra, our Sheltie, our fur baby. And we had just put up the holiday decorations and I was suffering. And I'm not saying struggling because with grief you struggle, but I was suffering. And we have this call and, you said, if you're interested, we can do an energy healing, which I'd never done before. And so we did. And what I loved so much is, first of all, I already felt connected with you, which I think is really important in whoever you're working with, right? I mean, healer, whatever it is. And I just felt super comfortable and I allowed myself to be vulnerable so that when we had this virtual meeting, I just like let it go. I mean, I was in a tough space and I have felt so incredibly different since. And like, this is the beauty in what you do and what you've gone through in your life. And it's part of what you've talked about. And I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about some of those healings that you went through. But I just want to talk about what you did for me because it's not fluff. It's not bullshit what you're talking about. Like, this is legit. And we don't realize how much of what it is that we feel today that is attached itself to decades ago. And you helped me that day to see something due to my comfort level with you, due to my desire to trust, right? Because you even talked about how before it's like you weren't ready to go through that healing because you didn't believe. And when we believe, when you stop to let go of whatever it is that might come out of your mouth and you open up to what does, it's amazing what can happen in our life and how you can be so aligned. So,
Yeah.
in sharing that, will you share with us, if you can, any specifics about? So, we know with ADHD and that, but what
Yeah.
has been really powerful in your own healing that you can speak to? Because it's these kinds of detailed stories that open the minds of people who have no idea what it's like and can resonate with you. And so
Yeah.
we would love to.
You mean like the lessons.
Yeah. Lessons or I'm going to let you answer it. I don't even want to say yes to lessons because I want you to speak to whatever it is that you're feeling. Well, listeners, that completes part 1 of this episode. Oh my gosh, isn't she full of energy? Samantha is amazing. Remember, stay tuned for part 2 of this particular episode with Samantha Sklenar next Wednesday. See you soon.